So hello and welcome to our special I Am Saint Germain's Day tribute, May 1st. So wonderful to be here with you. And we get to enjoy this marvelous radiation from Saint Germain and just be together. So Auntie is in the air as we speak, returning to South Africa. So we're sending her our love and blessings. And we'll begin with our meditation. Thank you. And now we have our opening invocation. Let's see who would like to do that for us. Let's see. How about Delia? Are you able to lead us, Delia?
Hello, Donna. Yes, lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beloved presence of God, I am. It is thy life and intelligence that enables me to read and comprehend and absorb that which is required of me. For life, I am so grateful. Beloved Master Kuthumi, I ask for your feeling and your capacity to use this instruction for God's glory and mankind's comfort. We thank you. And now, great I am presence, take me within thyself. There instruct me and cause me to retain the full memory of these inner instructions. Thank you. From beloved Saint Germain.
Thank you, beloved Delia. And I just want to say here at the beginning of the meeting for us to, our brother Norman is in hospital. He's been the marvelous, marvelous messenger for our group. And we just want to send him our love and gratitude and just hold him in the love, the healing love that we can. So we love you and we thank you, Norman, and we look forward to seeing you again in complete recovery. Thank you. So the topics for this week, which is our May 1st special service in honor of our beloved Saint Germain, God bless his holy name forever. We'll begin with a video, a tribute and history, and then we have a reading from Saint Germain recalling some of his life experiences from the initiations of the seventh ray. And then we have more tributes to Saint Germain from friendships with the gods. So here are 3 tributes to begin. Remember what I tell you. No being outside of mighty Sanat Kumara has ever rendered such a service to the earth as beloved Saint Germain is rendering today. And that's from Mighty Victory in the voice of the I Am. And from the beloved Maha Chohan, now Cosmic Holy Spirit Aeolus, from the Bridge to Freedom Bulletin. The great Saint Germain, who represents freedom to this earth, has achieved this honor because his love was great enough to cause him to stand before the throne of God and demand the opportunity to save this earth from dissolution. This boon was granted him, and his answer was the violet transmuting flame to mankind, whereby they might cleanse and purify and redeem the electronic substance which they so boldly drew from the heart of the eternal and forced it to assume such shape and form as to make the angels hide their faces. Thank you for this marvelous violet transmuting flame. Thank you. And this is from beloved brother Bob and volume 12 of the I Am Discourses. When I have seen those great beings bow before Saint Germain in honor to the services he has rendered the earth, then you will understand how great is that service. And just speaking for myself, I just treasure Saint Germain's words. They are a constant source of illumination and his presenting this method of attaining our freedom and the gift of the violet flame. So I'm just so filled with gratitude for beloved Saint Germain. Such an honor to have the knowledge of him and be able to share and listen to his wisdom. Thank you. Now we have our video.
This information about the Ascended Master Saint Germain was compiled by Alice Schultz from the I Am Activity and Bridge to Freedom material. It's from the book Law of Life by A.D.K. Look. She used that pseudonym. The Ascended Master Saint Germain represents freedom to the earth. He has become the directive intelligence for the next 2,000-year cycle, the new age, and in order to have the full action, the cosmic action of the violet flame, he must be accepted. Just as 2,000 years ago, in order to have the grace over the Mosaic law, Jesus had to be accepted. Saint Germain's cosmic name is Freedom. He is the cosmic father of the people of America. Saint Germain's work for the freedom of mankind began in that civilization 70,000 years ago, when a whole civilization could have been raised into the ascension had they continued to give obedience instead of becoming rebellious, particularly in their feelings. He, with beloved Lady Master Nada, have brought many civilizations to their height. His work has been much more concerned with the human and physical realm than that of other Ascended Masters. He worked for 200 years here in America before definite results began to manifest. This was brought about through the activity of the I Am instruction, which important work has been the protection, purification and enlightenment of the people, especially in America, and the purification of the beings of the elements. Saint Germain took the responsibility for the students, whether they gave obedience or not. When an Ascended Master does that, and the necessary obedience is not given, he has to make up for that and give a balance to the great law through application and cosmic service at inner levels. Saint Germain was king of that great civilization 70,000 years ago, where we find the Sahara Desert today. He possessed all the powers of an Ascended Master, and could have made the ascension as far as qualification goes. Some have wanted to know why he did not make the ascension then, when he had attained to such great heights. There is a very definite reason. He did not so that he could embody again and again in order to hold a closer contact with the mankind of earth. In this way, he could accomplish things required for mankind's freedom in the future, since having a physical body gave him a connection and authority which he would not have in the ascended state. He retained continuity of consciousness from one embodiment to the next, since that civilization 70,000 years ago. The term Uncle Sam rarely refers to Saint Germain, who instigated the establishment of our government. It was said that term comes from a former embodiment, when he was Prophet Samuel, about 11th century BC. Saint Germain was Joseph, and with Mary prepared the way for Jesus. He was an Essene, and knowing the mission of Jesus, did some preparatory work among the disciples unbeknown to them before they met Jesus. Saint Germain, as Joseph, was a very good example of the Father Jesus was to externalize through physical form, and he was the ideal to Jesus in his childhood until he made contact with Lord Maitreya. At the time of his passing, which was an easy one, Saint Germain determined to give assistance to all to make their passing easy for the animals as well as human beings. Saint Germain was Saint Alban, born in the 3rd century in England, presumably at the place of the present Saint Alban. He was martyred during the persecution and later canonized by the Church. He was the Greek philosopher Proclus, from 411 to 485 AD. This name became famous in afterlife. He composed hymns, embraced all religions, and endeavored to unite all philosophies. He had a school in Athens, but he also traveled, studied, and taught the various religions. He was Merlin the magician in King Arthur's court. This was during the 5th and 6th centuries in England. Another embodiment of his was as Roger Bacon in the 13th century, born at Ilchester, an English monk and philosopher, claimed by some to have been the greatest intellect which has ever arisen in England. He was a student of nature who was more a physician than chemist, a scientist, and made many discoveries along this line in this lifetime as well as in many other embodiments, as he saw the need for the use of these things to benefit mankind. He studied at Oxford and then in Paris. There he received the degree of Doctor of Theology. He then returned to Oxford. He became known as a father of science. He was known as the first naturalist by the Franciscan order to which he belonged. He invented the spectacles and constructed the telescope. He did much experimental work and produced gunpowder, which has been so greatly misused. He was one of the few astronomers of the time. He was responsible for the rectification of the Julian calendar. He was also known as a magician and intensely interested in alchemy, transmutation, and in producing an elixir to prolong life. He wrote Opus Majus, which was an encyclopedia of all sciences, for which he was persecuted. Then, as Christian Rosenkreutz in Germany in the 14th century, he was sent to a monastery when only 5 years of age. He became a monk with real occult and spiritual knowledge. He journeyed through various countries, and when only 16 he came in contact with the wise men of Damcar in Arabia, who received him as one they had long expected. He learned Arabic while there, and translated a secret book into Latin. Later he brought it to Europe. He went to Egypt after that, and was welcomed by the Egyptian Brotherhood of the Great White Brotherhood, probably at Luxor, to which he had belonged in past lives. He went through the initiations there. Then Rosenkreutz returned to Germany and founded the Order of the Rosy Cross, of which Rosicrucian is an offspring. The order consisted of only around 30 or 40 members, but it did form a school or focus for the great mysteries and occult knowledge of the Great White Brotherhood in Europe, which gave a direct connection with the retreat. It was said that Saint Germain was John Hunyadi, who was a great adept born in Transylvania, Hungary, in the early part of the 15th century. Saint Germain, as Christopher Columbus, exhibited tremendous perseverance in that lifetime. History tells us he discovered America in 1492, but it is claimed that was not his first trip to this land. Columbus was a learned, cultured, and talented person, a nobleman and not a beggar. He obtained much navigation information from the courts of Europe, particularly Spain and England. Some of Columbus's cryptic writings are still in existence, which definitely bear out these facts. From this time on, Saint Germain was in embodiment continuously. Paracelsus in the 1500s, a Swiss chemist, physician, and theosophist, was born near Zurich. He assumed the name of Aureolus. He learned from his father the rudiments of medicine, astrology, and alchemy. He travelled over most parts of Europe, performed some healings, and claimed to have discovered the elixir that would prolong life. He had an immense reputation in physics and surgery. His doctrine was that chemistry was to prepare medicines and not to make gold. It is claimed he was interested in that book translated by Christian Rosenkreutz. There is mention made of Saint Germain having a short embodiment before that of Francis Bacon. He was to have come to an American as a boy with De Soto and lived on the Wissahickon River in Pennsylvania. Saint Germain's last embodiment was that of Francis Bacon, from 1561 to 1684, a philosopher and English writer. He was a son of Queen Elizabeth I and rightful heir to the throne. This he was denied by the actions of his own mother. He wrote various books and articles under several different names, including the plays by Shakespeare. A cipher code runs through these writings relating his real identity and the intrigue in court which prevented him from getting the right to the throne by which he had hoped to form a United States of Europe. Could this have been done, there would have been no war since then. James I became king instead. He misused government funds, but Francis Bacon, holding the accounts of England, took the blame for the wrong committed to save the king and country. Bacon used his plays and writings to influence the constituting of the English language today. He supervised and edited the authorized version of the Bible, then being translated, which was directed by King James. Bacon's great work, the Novum Organum, written in Latin, led the way to the development of the modern inductive logic. This was the second instrument of thought. The first was Aristotle's Organum. It is believed by some that he passed on in 1626. He let it appear that way and attended his own funeral in woman's garb, but did not leave the earth plane until May the 1st, 1684. He went from England to the Rákóczi mansion in Transylvania and ascended on the freedom flame there into his eternal victory. The goddess of liberty was the first one to meet him on the other side. He then went into the great silence for some time. He was known as the Prince Rákóczi of Transylvania and took many embodiments in that part of the world, thereby drawing and establishing the freedom flame there. When he had passed the initiation whereby he was made the focus of the freedom flame to earth, he first embodied as a shepherd boy in Transylvania. He then, for centuries, in such succeeding lifetimes, intensified and expanded that flame. The Master R, known to us now as the Great Divine Director, was his teacher and mentor, and overlighted or enfolded him in his Divine Director's cosmic flame, as it was done in the case of Maitreya with the Master Jesus. The Ascended Master Saint Germain appeared again in Europe, and was known there during his time from 1710 to 1822 particularly. He appeared in his visible, tangible body in the various countries under various names. He kept close connections with influential people in these countries. He was known as the Count Saint Germain in France, as the Wonder Man in Germany, as the Count Belmar in France, as the Count Belmar in Venice, as Prince Rákóczi in Dresden, and by other names at different places. He was considered very wealthy, and no one could determine from whence his wealth came. It is not generally known that he was an ascended being at that time, which explains how he could so easily perform those superhuman feats, and why he did not partake of food. Being ascended, he was therefore complete master over physical matter. He could appear in more than one place at a time. He did not have to rely on outer world transportation, and could precipitate whatever jewels, ornamentation, and such like that he wished. His reason for exhibiting such wealth was for influential purposes, as that impressed them as nothing else would. He called himself Saint Germain, Sanctus Germanus, which means holy brother. He would know what letters or newspapers contained without reading them. He could speak any language perfectly. He refused to accept any presents or benefits. He influenced the lives of many famous persons and people in governmental positions. He played a great part in the political world in America, as well as in Europe during the 18th century. The original system of secret diplomacy was instigated by him. Saint Germain was personally known by the French kings Louis XV and Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette. Had they heeded his advice, it would have saved them and many others during the French Revolution. Saint Germain told us in the latter 1930s that Marie Antoinette was at that time good at heart but did not withstand the influence at the court, that she was an embodiment again in France, and that he would see that she was brought in contact with this instruction. Saint Germain was known by and worked with others in the French court, including Count Rochambeau. It is evident that the French expedition to America during the Revolutionary War in America and the appointment of General Rochambeau as its commander all came about through Saint Germain's influence. He gave the elixir of life to several people, which restored their youth and beauty to them. He would write 2 different topics, one with each hand at the same time. He instructed and assisted Mesmer in his work. He was known by Cagliostro. He exhibited alchemy to Casanova and assisted Charles of Hesse in the study of the secret science. Saint Germain influenced the founding of many secret societies in various places, such as the Rosicrucians, the Knights of Light, the Illuminati, and Masonry. These activities all come under the ceremonial ray. Napoleon knew Saint Germain intimately, who taught and trained him and was the power behind him as long as he gave obedience. Saint Germain had to withdraw when Napoleon claimed the power of his own, and at that point is where the failure began. Saint Germain expected to make a United States of Europe through him, but again his efforts failed because of human weakness. Saint Germain was a friend of Frederick the Great and had a hand in placing Catherine the Great upon the throne of Russia. He was known by von Steuben and influenced him to come to America. General Washington, Lafayette, and Franklin all knew him, as did Lincoln later. They knew him, but they did not know he was an ascended master. He was the one, the unknown visitor, who fired up the patriots, who swayed the signers of the Declaration of Independence into signing the document, whom they could not find afterwards, although the doors were locked and a man on guard. He was the inspiration and power behind the bringing forth of the Constitution of the United States, as well as the Magna Carta in England. It was through his endeavors that George Washington was established as the first president of the United States of America. His reputation in Europe was so great that even today there are people there who bow at the mention of his name. He was a power behind the building of trains, railroads, steamboats, airplanes, and suspension bridges, much of which he predicted as Roger Bacon. He was also a friend of the great writer Bulletin, and evidently influenced his writings. The inspiration to produce the Passion Play every 10 years by the people of Oberammergau came to him. Saint Germain was responsible for the culture in the court of France and that of the colonial days. He was also responsible for the lovely Austrian music and much of the Venetian music. He inspired musicians such as Chopin, Tchaikovsky, and especially Johann Strauss to write those waltzes which are the music of his retreat. When he ceased working in Europe in the tangible form, he said he would again be seen in 85 years, which was around the time the Theosophical movement began. Saint Germain raised up and was given the ascension by Sanat Kumara. Saint Germain became Chohan of the seventh ray, which office Kuan Yin was holding, around 100 years after his ascension. This was after his work at the court of France and other parts of Europe, and after America's freedom, during which time he worked so much and closely in the physical realm. When he assumed the office of Chohan, his service became cosmic, and he was no longer permitted to work in such close personal contact as before, except with Napoleon. Saint Germain endeavored, at the court of France and in other parts of Europe, to prove to the outer consciousness of the people through phenomena the inner powers and the power within themselves. He decided then that no longer would he attempt in that way to reach the hearts of mankind, but he would employ another method, that he would use the means of instruction based on logic and common sense, with radiation for the conviction of the instruction given, especially to the people more interested in works than in phenomena. Saint Germain was not so active in theosophy, but instead he was building a momentum at inner levels and making preparation for the time when he would focus his ray in action in the outer again. This he did in the early 1930s through the I Am activity. His work with mankind has been very great, and through all of that he has developed much patience with the people of the earth. We know little of what he went through to gain his eternal freedom. It was far greater than what any of mankind have to encounter today. Therefore, he had the wisdom, strength, and courage to bring forth the I Am instruction, and accomplished in a few short years what none other was able to do. Saint Germain was a priest in the Temple of Purification, the Temple of the Violet Flame on Atlantis. He then received training at inner levels, both while in embodiment and between embodiments, in divine alchemy, in Archangel Zadkiel's temple over Cuba through the centuries after the sinking of Atlantis, until he qualified to become guardian of the Violet Flame and the Chohan of the seventh ray. Saint Germain has worked for 12,000 years, hoping to bring forth a nation of ascended masters. He was able to precipitate hundreds of years before his ascension. He said that he operated the law a long time before that great I Am presence was revealed to him. We were informed on December the 21st, 1937, that Saint Germain and others of the Ascended Masters had walked the streets of some of their cities in their tangible bodies to give the needed protection through radiation. He said on June the 4th, 1939, that he would move about in New York, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and Cleveland once a week for the following 6 months. Saint Germain had to wait a long time for the goddess of justice, Lady Portia, his twin ray, because she had ascended long before him and had entered the Great Silence. She came forth in 1939 to assist him in his great work. To secure dispensations, beloved Saint Germain took the responsibility for the students, particularly, and for mankind. Saint Germain was crowned on May the 1st, 1954, and officially assumed the responsibilities as the director for the new cycle of the 2000 years on the seventh ray, and thus the initial pulsation flowed forth. This coronation gave him the authority to increase an understanding of the presence and power of the violet ray and flame, as well as that of freedom. Jesus held this position for the past 2000 years on the sixth ray, and Saint Germain will now complete the work Jesus started. Saint Germain also works as an angel diva of the violet flame, and has legions of angels under his direction. He is the director of the transmuting violet flame to the earth. His retreat is the Rakosi Mansion in Transylvania. He has a focus in the etheric city over the Sahara Desert, from which he works, directing light rays in his service to the earth. The Cave of Symbols is his retreat in America, as well as Mount Shasta. An outstanding quality of Saint Germain's is his enthusiasm for the light. He is about 6 feet 1 inch in height, and has wavy brown hair with brown eyes, which are sometimes referred to as violet. A fragrance he uses is that of violets. The electronic pattern of his life stream is the Maltese cross. All great foundations start with one stone. That jeweled stone for the new age is the Ascended Master, Saint Germain. These are some quotes from the Ascended Masters about their beloved friend, Saint Germain. This is from Archangel Michael, from the voice of the I Am. He whose task of cleansing the earth is so colossal, it is worthy of your love and devotion every instant for the rest of eternity. He says, my heart's love is his to command, to the accomplishment of the task he has chosen to carry. He is worthy of your devotion and love, the greatest you can ever give him forever. Remember, always be worthy of his love. This is from the ruler of the violet planet. Your beloved Saint Germain is of far more importance to the people of this world than anyone understands. And this is from beloved Jesus. Remember, these are my words, and let no human being on earth doubt it. When I say to you, Saint Germain has performed the greatest service ever attempted by one being on earth. This is from the beloved Maha Chohan. Your Saint Germain, having been the one under whose ray and power of action the earth comes at this time, has been your greatest benefactor for more than 2 million years. This is from beloved Mighty Victory, from the voice of the I Am. Remember what I tell you. No being outside the mighty Sanat Kumara has ever rendered such a service to the earth as beloved Saint Germain is rendering today. You do not know what a magnificent being he is. And this is from his beloved twin ray, Lady Portia. His precious heart, through ages that were dark, with the viciousness of mankind, has called, and every call has been a blazing light in seething blackness, a ray of his love to help turn the life stream away from the shadows that have sought to engulf it. This is from the beloved Ascended Master Bob. I want you to realize, beloved ones, the love and gratitude that the whole world owes to blessed Saint Germain. Mankind, even in their greatest love and gratitude, cannot yet even imagine the magnitude of that one being's great work. It is so magnificent. This is from Archangel Michael again. Mighty is his love to you and to all mankind. Mighty is his service to the earth, and great is his cosmic response in the cleansing of a planet which has gone into the shadows almost to complete annihilation. This is beloved Bob. He says, when I have seen those great beings bow before Saint Germain in honor to the service he has rendered the earth, you will then understand how great that service is. If you knew the conditions that Blessed One went through in his final initiation into that freedom and victory, You would think your efforts are nothing in comparison, and truly they are not. Your experiences are angelic compared to what he went through to attain his victory. And this is from beloved Almoira. Why should I have gone to Vesta and Helios and asked for a dispensation to help you? Because I love Saint Germain, because he has that faith in you and in all his cheelers, though they fall by the wayside and desert him right and left, a faith which I, perchance, do not share, having served so often with mankind, both through the Theosophical Society, with Mrs. Bailey, with the I Am and the Bridge activity. But his faith, he is like a child, your beloved Saint Germain. He is so happy when any one of you ascends. When any one of you shows the tiniest bit of light, he rushes to the karmic board with that light and your achievement, and he covers over every error you make, either consciously or unconsciously. And when we talk with him, he can only talk about how beautiful you are. Even the great Maha Chohan smilingly knows, listens, and too, in love, does not dissuade him from that great faith. Saint Germain pleads your cause and the cause of all that lives, and we, the fiery ones, Serapis and I, are determined that his faith shall be realized by you.
Thank you for that beautiful, beautiful tribute. Lots of good information there. I love that Sanctus Germanus, Sanctus Germanus, Holy Brother. I just love that. I loved it all. Okay, now we have beloved Roxy Ann is going to do a reading for us. Over here. Thank you, Roxy Ann.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. We continue with the tribute to beloved Saint Germain. Beloved Saint Germain, recalling some of his life experiences. Source, Bridge to Freedom Publications, Initiations of the Seventh Ray by beloved Saint Germain, compiled by Werner Schroeder. Saint Germain's cosmic name is Freedom. He represents the God quality of freedom to the earth. He was crowned on May 1st, 1954, and officially assumed the responsibilities as director of the new 2000-year cycle, which is the last cycle allotted to this planet Earth. Saint Germain gave a dictation recorded in the book, The Initiations of the Seventh Ray, that shows how in former embodiments he was faced with great problems and how he handled them. Saint Germain explained as follows. The following little episode taken from my memory book may be of help to someone struggling with bodily handicaps, for it must be remembered that we, the liberated brothers, also walked the earth in the more or less distant past and wrestled with the limitations of human consciousness and personal karma, even as is humanity today. Once in a long ago embodiment, my travels took me through parts of Russia and Siberia, where sanitation and hygiene were unknown commodities. One of my feet had become frostbitten, and I had only a knotted rag to keep my flesh from the sharp, frozen ground. One night, as I lay groaning in a peasant's hut in close proximity to some pigs, an odoriferous goat or two, and some chattering human beings of little spiritual or intellectual comfort, the smoke from the flueless fireplace filling the room, adding to the general chaos and discomfort, my foot and leg assumed larger and more important proportions in my consciousness with each throb of blood through my veins. I had been receiving certain instructions from a master whom I had visited in the flesh and who was able, when necessity required it, to project his thought and directions toward me. Suddenly, through my unhappy thought, there passed a ray, which was like a commanding hand, silencing my human thinking. I realized he was trying to reach me, and I composed myself as best I could emotionally. Then the familiar relaxation in my feelings told me he was near. He did not speak, but literally projected into my mind a picture of the most beautiful pair of feet I had ever seen, either with the inner or outer vision. Underneath the feet, there seemed to be what looked like twin suns, one under each arch, that poured up and raised through them. The whole picture reminding me of the action of God moving across the face of the earth. I became so interested in this vision that the room, the external environment, everything faded away. Afterwards, I realized that he was impressing the perfection of those feet into my mind, my feelings, and through the visual sense into the substance of my physical body as well. Finally, after what seemed like hours of contemplation on just 2 feet, he spoke. These are the feet which God endowed you with in the beginning. Use them. With that, his ray withdrew and the vision vanished, but I was able to recall it at will, and I began to superimpose those God feet over the poor manifestations which I had humanly created, until they represented what looked to me like a fair replica of those heavenly feet that I saw in my vision on that cold night in the peasant's hut. In later embodiments, I was set to complete the task, and would you believe it? At the time of my ascension, when my presence was revealed to me in its fullness, the first thing I became aware of was the feet, and then the rest of the glorious self. It shows the tremendous impression that visualization makes on the consciousness, and in turn, that consciousness makes on the flesh. Saint Germain recalling his voyage to America as Christopher Columbus. From the cramped quarters of a cabin no larger than a small platform, whose seams had sprung through the unequal battle with the relentless seas, I looked through the fog porthole at the green islands, which rose like ephemeral shades out of the morning mist. These were the first tangible manifestations of the new and virgin world that my heart had been seeking for so many centuries. A land rich in natural growth and free from the blood of men's petty strife, where freedom might walk in every heart. This natural theater I was shown at inner levels, and I was promised that it would be waiting when the hearts of men desired freedom more than life itself, if such men could be found or inspired with the desires to enjoy such a God quality. With this promise and only my heart flame as compass, I incarnated in the foothills of Genoa, and the certainty that such a land existed grew in me as my body grew to manhood. Like David Lloyd, who was asked by a master to look for a man with a crystal cup on a famous mountain in North America to help with his ascension, I had only the conviction that somewhere such a land existed, but the voluntary bond of earth's forgetfulness made it necessary for me to develop from within myself its possible location, and then convince a reluctant patroness to sponsor my idea with nothing to offer which might back up my conviction, but my own inner faith in the reality of the new world. The driving force of a God idea, when pitted against the resistance of man's ignorance, superstition, and unbelief, is what makes the spark of the spirit fire into a flame, by which accomplishment is manifested. After the path to this new world was opened, other men desiring freedom followed, while I yet worked from within my own karmic chains, ever toward a day when this land might be enjoyed by a new race of spiritually mature men and women. I endeavored to write of this in The New Atlantis, again affirming my faith in a world brotherhood. Then I was offered my ascension by the cosmic law before that vision was accomplished. If it had not been for the counsel of the Goddess of Liberty and the great divine director, I do not think I would have accepted my ascension before this new era was established. They promised me that among the life streams yet bound by karmic restrictions would be found those who might assume my interest in a land of the free, become my body and my very self in carrying out those plans, completing the work with which I had so earnestly and sincerely begun. You who are here this morning, students of the Bridge to Freedom, and others of the early American patriots, are those who stood before the karmic board and offered to represent me if I were to take the ascension at that time. The Lords of Kama accepted your offer, so I owe my ascension in some manner to your kindly assistance. Some of you were with me that autumn morning when the Santa Maria rode anchor off the West Indies, and all are friends of my heart from ages that have been. Do you wonder that I love you, that I bless you, that I thank you and stand with you again? Just know that the heart of freedom moves with you wherever you shall abide.
Thank you, Roxy Ann. Very, very marvelous reading. Thank you. So now we have a lovely song. Oh no, I'm reading. Sorry, I thought the song was next. That's what it said on the sheet. Beloved Cassiopeia from Friendship with the Gods, within your heart is the golden flame of illumination, which will reveal truth to you. Now, in answer to my call, this flame arises into your brain structure and outer consciousness, clearing away forever the human concepts of the ages, clearing away forever half-truths and expanding the golden flame of the sevenfold activity of the Elohim, which is anchored within your forehead. Thus, if you will consciously accept it, each one of you is being made a grail through which some perfected being may channel and direct his blessings for the race. For Saint Germain, let us become the precipitating legions. For Saint Germain, let us become the peace-commanding legions. For Saint Germain, let us become the healing legions, as you here in great power already have become the protecting legions of this earth. Beloved Chinanda, head of the retreat in India where the Cave of Light is located, see the freedom of the world. Know that you are a disciple of the Ascended Master Saint Germain and carry his violet flame with you everywhere. Although his purpose is to bring freedom to the earth, love, the great one quality of life, must be brought forth first, and humanity must learn to love God and all life before complete freedom may ever be experienced. From the beloved Goddess of Freedom, Saint Germain's freedom is here, now, and forever sustained. Beloved ones, I accept that, and I want you to do the same. 90% of my service in bringing complete freedom to the planet is visualization. That is visualizing every part of life holy and free. If you will join me in this same activity of visualizing every part of life ablaze with the violet fire, then my service will be easier. It could not be more joyous. knowing that there is an anchor for our beloved Saint Germain, then this alone makes me constantly joyous and happy and allows me to visualize the entire planet free. And from beloved Godfrey, I do know that we can count on our blessed chelas to ring the bell of freedom. Ring the bell of freedom with the joyous, harmonious radiation of your beings. And remember that it was at the Tetons that man first came to earth. And from the Tetons this night goes forth the statement that this land and entire planet, with the assistance of the chelas through their cooperation with the spiritual hierarchy, will be the land of the free, a planet of freedom under God. Thank you, Godfrey. Thank you all. And now we have our song.
My brother asked me who Saint Germain was. My brother asked me who Saint Germain was. I thought and I wondered how I could explain what wonder was held in Saint Germain's name. He's helping to bring forth the teachings of God. He's helping to bring forth the teachings of God, aligned with our dear Master Jesus Christ and his Mother Mary. In these three I trust. If you're close to Jesus, I'm there with you too. For his Mother Mary, I love her, I do. After my searchings, dear Saint Germain came to show me the meaning of God's I am name. Of all great concerns that our dear Jesus had before he left earth was that all of man would worship him only and fail to see the Christ in each one of humanity. Do not be afraid to let Saint Germain come into your life. He will make you one with God and dear Jesus and Mary and more. Ascended great masters you'll learn to adore. And now if they ask me who Saint Germain is, and now if they ask me who Saint Germain is, I will have an answer, and it won't be long. I'll just simply sing them the words of this song. I will have an answer, and it won't be long. I'll just simply sing them my Saint Germain song.
And we'll take a moment to send deep gratitude and love to our beloved Saint Germain and all the great ascended ones. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you and we thank you. And now beloved Antoinette is going to do our decrees. Thank you, Antoinette.
Thank you, Donna. Oh, I love that song. I think we're all well stirred up with that wonderful feeling of love and gratitude for our beloved Saint Germain. We just can expand on that moment of deep, deep devotion and adoration for beloved Saint Germain, that mighty Son of Freedom. And we send our gratitude to you, beloved Saint Germain, for igniting in each and every one of us that flame of freedom, that desire for freedom, that willingness to join together in service to the light for the freedom of all life on this sweet earth. Thank you for filling us with your faith in a land of the free. Beloved Saint Germain, God bless your holy name forever. And now in your name, we're going to say our decrees together. We say, mighty I am presence, great host of ascended masters, archangels and Elohim, cosmic beings and great cosmic light, come forth now in all your cosmic power. Withdraw and withhold all power from destructive forces and individuals with destructive intent throughout the world, right now and forever, whether it is conscious or unconscious. Expose, seize, bind, and render helpless all these sinister forces and their activities until the light has removed them completely and illumined the source, so this may never act again, and raise up to positions of power the divinely chosen leaders. Replace all with ascended master consciousness and the divine plan fulfilled. We thank you. And now our pillar of protection. Beloved mighty I Am Presence, beloved Archangel Michael, and beloved Commander Conrad, continually intensify your protective pillar of pure light substance and Archangel Michael's armor of light through and around me, charged with your invincible protection, all powerful and impenetrable. I am invisible. I am invincible. I am invulnerable to anything but thy almighty perfection. I am grateful that we are given whatever added protection is needed, and what we ask for ourselves, we ask for our loved ones, and that which is constructive in all mankind and the world. We thank you. We just take a moment to visualize, to see and feel this mighty pillar of protection surrounding each and every one of us. That blue and crystal tube of protection surrounding ourselves, our loved ones, this group, and all the people across the face of the earth, standing up in the name of truth, justice, and freedom for all the people of the earth. God bless, protect, and direct each and every one. We thank you. Our decree for divine justice. I am the most intensified cosmic action of the flame of divine justice, blazing throughout the world right now and forever. I am the law. I am the justice. I am the judge. I am the jury in every court throughout the world. Knowing that I am all powerful, then I know that only divine justice can be done here and now. Beloved Lady Portia, ensure divine justice prevails throughout the world right now and forever. And so be it, and so it is, and it is done. Beloved I Am, we thank you. In the name of my mighty I Am Presence, great cosmic beings and great cosmic light, I decree, I am the presence, charging the minds and feelings of everybody in America and the world with Saint Germain's ascended master consciousness and perfection, right now and forever. I am the presence, blessing, illuminating, perfecting, and setting all free in service to the light. Now together we're going to invoke that mighty flame of freedom, the violet flame, that has the ability to shatter, dissolve, consume, and transmute all discordant energy of any kind. We say together, mighty I Am Presence, beloved Saint Germain, and those that minister to the violet flame, come forth now and blaze your cosmic violet fire and cause a mighty victory for all the world to see. I am the law of forgiveness in cosmic action now. I am the victory of the sacred fire in all its cosmic power. Mighty angels descend with your purple wands of fire and strike them into the center of every place where there has been a history of sinister force activity. transmute and consume it all, cause, core, record, effect, and memory, and set it all free from that which was never meant to be. Replace it all with ascended master consciousness and the divine plan fulfilled. We thank you. And now we call to mighty victory to fill us with his feeling of victory as we say together, I am the victory of the light. I am the victory of the light. I am the victory of the light. I am the cosmic flame of victory, which reigns supreme everywhere, right now and forever. We accept these calls answered as they are made, according to thy will, with full cosmic power, maintained and doubled each hour until fully manifest. And so be it, and so it is done. beloved I am, we thank you. And now we end off as we always do by making that call to the secret love star. The secret love star, that mighty focus of cosmic divine love from the great central sun, shining in the heavens for this 2000-year period. That supreme light that cannot be requalified with human thoughts or feelings. And we see that light, that pink and golden light from the secret love star, directed into every human heart. Beloved secret love star, clothe us in the substance from that mighty love star. That substance that pushes out all imperfection, all limitation of any kind. Fill us with the feeling of cosmic divine love, that feeling of harmony, gratitude, kindness and tolerance, charity, respect and courtesy, of grace and goodwill, that feeling of loving service, of unity, one brotherhood, Saint Germain's holy family. We just see our entire earth now bathed in the pink and golden light from the secret love star. We send our gratitude to the mighty beings of light that hold this great focus of cosmic divine love for the benefit of all life evolving on this sweet earth. Mighty I Am Presence, fill my being and world and that of all mankind, of all life on this sweet earth, with light and love from this secret love star. And we give deep, deep thanks for this. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, beloved Saint Germain. Thank you.
Thank you, beloved Antoinette. Thank you. And now we have our closing invocation. And let's see who would like to read that for us. Let's see. Gayleen, would you like to read the closing invocation?
I'd love to. Thank you, Donna. Beloved I Am Presence and beloved Master Kuthumi, nourish the seeds planted in my consciousness so that the ideas entrusted to me become manifest flowers of perfect expression in my world and the world of all my fellow men. Beloved Presence of God I Am, pour the light of thy great glory upon my consciousness and nourish the seeds planted by the Masters. We thank you.
Thank you, Gayleen. And now we have a moment of deep gratitude for our many, many blessings. And all these marvelous teachings. Special deep gratitude to beloved Saint Germain. And the violet flame. And the faith for the freedom. And all the wonderful things. And all the masters. And all the cosmic beings who are helping us right now. As we make this transition to our new golden age of freedom. Permanent golden age of freedom. Thank you. And thank you all for coming. Thank you all. Love you all and thank you all. And have a marvelous day and a marvelous week.